Alright, welcome back. It's been a week. Let's see if we can remember how to play the game. I am ready. I don't have money to spend, so here's the pat. That is a longer range than I realized for that punch. I don't think I ever realized how long our punch range was. Wow. Okay. Still focusing on how they chose how to distribute the buttons for this game. So, I guess... Oh, well, I want those, but... So, I guess... my idea here was to keep using this thing. I feel lied to. Oh! By all of these sprockets. I guess my idea was to... keep using this thing now, or... and upgrade it, or something to that effect. I probably intend to use weapons other than just the reflower. Some capacity. Although I did really like the reflower a lot. It's kind of funny how the reflower ended up being one of my favorite weapons in both games, despite actually working differently in each. That makes a big difference. I mean, you wouldn't think that there'd be that huge of a difference between the purple ones, for instance, and the gold ones. They look fairly similar, but no, the gold ones are a huge deal. And the gold ones most definitely not. I do appreciate that we have... Whoops, I didn't think that would move that way. I do appreciate that we have some gameplay differences in the form of... Here we go. Now I can pick these up. I do appreciate they have some gameplay differences in the form of levels like this one, though. Since one of the issues with the console version was that it was fairly monotonous, since the levels were... There wasn't much of any variation in the levels. No levels had a gimmick as far as I could tell or anything like that. You had slightly different, I need to remember I punched those two. You had slightly different enemies over time, I guess, but that wasn't really that noticeable. What are we doing here? What are we doing here? Oh. One of those, sprockets blended in with the jellyfish. But in this one, on the other hand, even if it's just one other kind of level, like this one, well, you have two other kinds of levels in this game. You have the chases, and then you have the moving platform levels, which, I mean, on their own aren't especially engaging or anything, and yeah, they get old, but... I'm not used to trying to punch things again, since I haven't done it for the last week. But... well, it's like I suddenly lose my... I automatically aim at things. Aha! I can punch these too. Oops. I never fell anywhere. I feel like I should be able to punch that. The punch range is weird. I feel like I'm really fast at destroying things with my weird little technique, but it tends to cause a lot of damage to me in the meantime. Like that. I guess I should use some other tactic here. Calm down there for a second, guys. Jeez. But this game having just 3 different kinds of levels, even if they're not especially engaging in their own right, just has more variety so that you're not just doing the same thing the whole game. Which I think is worth something. And in a certain way makes it feel like they put more work into this than, and made more thought into this than the console version. Although keep in mind as well, I don't know what I was going to say to keep in mind. What I was going to say there before I accidentally said keep in mind as well, was that, interestingly, this is the same developer that made both versions. I don't think that's usually what happens when you have a console version and a handheld version of a game. You don't usually have both by the same people. But that meant they could share assets and ideas and whatnot between the two. I think. that was good for cutscenes and whatnot, in a way, and maybe kind of not good in another way because you don't get to see new interpretations of them. But doing nothing. I still can't afford that. Can I afford other things? No, actually. Not that much in the way of upgrades, actually. Not how much game there is. I mean, we're in Bikini Bottom, which is kind of weird, since the game ended in Bikini Bottom last time. But, so, at the same time, is this going to be the same way both times? In terms of, like, what levels you do in which order and whatnot? I don't know. Maybe not. But you would think... Okay, so now we're past the Con Street here, I guess? Yeah. In the console version... In the console version, we saw this at the end of the game. But we said we're going somewhere other than Rock Bottom this time. Home sweet home. This time, in this game too, there are also boxes blocking passage into Squidward's place, weren't there? But this time you were able to overcome them. Patrick could overcome them, but Spongebob couldn't back in Yellow Adventure. You know, what did Spongebob avenge? I don't think that was ever clarified. He was definitely yellow, I think. My memory is a little hazy. I don't remember him avenging anything. Yeah, I tend to mess up my punch aiming. I need to... Like, I'm already aiming at the enemy from having shot at them when I try to use my little punch technique. And if they're moving, maybe we'll move out of my range. But usually, I can just punch and then I'll hit them. But where that tends to fail is I'm oftentimes holding a direction, so I'll actually punch in a different direction when I press the attack button. I'm on afterwards. Or they might be out of range. Interesting that they're not always throwing maximum strength enemies at me here. This one's like 3 hits, that is quite a lot. For what's probably the most powerful weapon in the game. Ow! That's probably a decent amount. I still think it's so strange though that they... Okay, maybe the sprockets were the same amount. Did that one get killed by the vent? It didn't make a sound. Anyways. And it just seems to fly in the face of what you're taught to expect in games, which is usually not a good thing. Unless it's done very deliberately. Like, why would they give you different colors of stuff if it's not worth different amounts or anything? Like, they use color coding for the enemies, but not for most of the sprockets. Except for one variety of sprocket, except for the yellow ones. All the others are worth 1. That's part of the weird thing. It's not just that every color of sprocket is worth 1. It's that you have 3 colors of sprockets that are all worth 1, and they vary in size. That also implies they vary in value. But you also then have this. There is another one that varies in size and color, and that one does massively vary in volume. That's 50 sprockets. It's literally 50 times the amount of any of the others. That's huge. And considering how much it costs to upgrade things, like that's a significant portion of the cost of a single upgrade. I think just a couple of those can actually make a big difference. One shot. In your life. Like Patrick's jumping animation. Like if I hadn't found that could make the difference between being able to upgrade something or not. Or at the very least, and when I can upgrade something. I'll try to explore everything here though. That's interesting. You can still, like scrape jump, in an interesting way. Okay, I think we've confirmed this is the way forward, so I should probably at this point go around the other way. Oh, well, good timing. That's not the way to go, Patrick. Are you on? Okay, Patrick, you're not punching the way you were facing. It's not a platform, but we want to go the other way around. I don't know what the turbo button is. I don't think I've set up the turbo button on here. I would fast forward going backwards if I could right now. I don't think I set up the turbo button on this emulator. I'm using a different emulator than what I used to use in the past. I'm using one that's kind of in development, called Melon DS, that I liked following the development of. One nice thing that I haven't been using actually, perhaps I should. I'll actually do this right now. You can actually upscale. Oh, I'm using... Really? Am I using internal resolution stuff? I'm playing at double internal resolution right now, apparently, which I hadn't realized. I'll switch it to 4 times right now. It might make things look slightly prettier. No? Everything's still aliased. I don't know. At least in the past, it's made things look better. So I have the resolution turned up, which can make things look nicer. Since the DS screen is... The main problem with the DS is that it's... Did I go down here? Really? Yeah, that's where I wanted to go. Oh, hi. Cool. Was that the only place I wanted to go? This is new. It's like we have multiple paths here. But yeah, there are DS games where the models aren't even that bad of a resolution, or like that bad polygon count wise or anything like that. But what the real unfortunate part is the resolution is just so low on the DS that you can't make out all the details. There are times where just improving the internal resolution helps a lot in that sense. I might actually see if I can get the internal resolution being higher, working properly between this episode and the next, because I might as well. It's like, it doesn't make the game look significantly different in the sense of like modifying it, it just makes it look nicer and more legible and fit for this sort of screen that you're viewing it on. But anyways, I'll have to be in a 3D space to do that, so I'll make a save state here for testing it out, and I'll come back to that between episodes. Oh, did I? Actually, no. Wait, hold up. I'm cheating now. I didn't think about whether to upgrade anything. Neptuning fork. There. I was about to say, do we get a cyclone level now? We do. We have music. Oh, this one's fast. But so am I. No. I have fast pain now. That's a decent amount of time. Oh, this reminds me all of a sudden out of nowhere of... you can't get me! This reminds me all of a sudden of one of the mission types in... What was it called? Hot Wheels World's Best Driver. Where it was one of the Team Yellow missions, where your mission was just to go through a corridor and... destroy enemies here. And just destroy as much stuff as possible along the way. Tanking it. It's weird to have Krabby Patties that don't heal you in a Spongebob game. That is necessary. Treasure chests are mandatory. Keep going, Patty. Has no one ever made jokes about Patrick and Patty? I don't know. I will, but I'll do that next episode. Go, Patrick.